Welcome back, everyone. Kevin Shea with Jim Wilson, the sports editor for the Telegram and Gazette. A lot to talk about this week because we're 2 weeks away from the playoffs. Power rankings, your favorite time of the year.
I got my chalkboards up, dry erase markers. I got one of those college ones you have to slide up like a beautiful mind and move it over.
You got the Pythagorean theorem going, and it's Goodwill Hunting. You're doing Goodwill Hunting math up there on the
my graphing calculator. It's a fantastic.
Before we get into that, let's talk about this St. John's and Shepherd Hill game that we saw on Saturday. St. John's affirming what we have been saying all season long. They are the class of Central Mass. They are a powerhouse, and it is a complete team effort. I mean, it's offense, defense, and special teams. We've talked about Iman Dennis and the special teams taking a kickback in almost every game. No one kicks to him anymore. Teams are content to give St. John's the ball on their own 40, 45-yard line just so they don't kick it to Dennis. And then we sound like a broken record, but again, Steve Bicaglia, the way he runs that offense, I think 5 touchdown passes on Saturday. I think he had 4 in the first half. They rolled up 50 points in the first half. And I will say this, too, and we talk about the poise a lot with Bicaglia. No matter where you're playing quarterback, there's a lot of pressure on you. Whether you're Drew Campanelli at Shrewsbury, whether you're Steve Bicaglia, whether you're Mick Sullivan at Shepherd Hill, no matter what offense you run or what school you're at, the most pressure-packed position is quarterback. There may be no more pressure-packed position than playing quarterback at St. John's. And I think he deals with that pressure really, really well.
Oh, so every week he's doing something different. You know, Oliver goes down, okay, that's fine. We'll just pass the ball 100 times a game and put up video game points.
Right.
I mean, we just put in whatever we said against after the Wachusett game to the Shepherd Hill game. It's the same thing. You think can they give them a run for their money? Can they can they compete with them? And other than Shrewsbury, it's been a JV game in the second half. Yeah. Maybe.
No, they've been just unbelievable. They've been outstanding. And again, you mentioned without Peter Oliver, so you take your number one running back and a Division I running back. He committed to Harvard last week. So a kid who's 6'6", 210, runs a sub 4.40. You take him out. You take the second string running back out. Right. Byers was out. Another running back was dinged up. So you're down to your third and fourth running backs, and you're still picking up tons of yardage. And then, of course, Bichaglia's aerial circus. He's feeding the ball all over. And even the sophomore Brunel, who stepped in the last couple weeks now, you have a 6'2", 180-pound sophomore who's going up and getting balls. And, of course, you had Drew Gotch, Hunter Gorgas getting a little bit into the offense, too, because they didn't need him early on. Now they're throwing to the kid who's the size of Gronkowski right now as a high school senior. And Zach Pedoni makes grab after grab in the tight areas where he knows he's going to get hit by linebackers or safeties. He's fearless.
Exactly, and it's scary for the rest of the state. You guys are playing Division III, schedule the rest of the year, and it's going to be.
I mean, forget it. They're gonna, and the coaches won't like to hear that because again, every week, and you never know what's going to happen. But honestly, they're the prohibitive favorites in the state to win the Super Bowl in Division III. Again, I'd put them right up against St. John's Prep. I'd put them right up against Everett or BC High, and I think they would compete, and it would be a great game. It would be a game that everyone would want to see. That's how good this team is.
Super 8 coming up.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea.
That's not a frenzy for another time.
Hockey, baseball, one sport's missing it. But now we're going to go into the power rankings and get into the playoff scenarios because we got all the divisions in Central Mass, as we mentioned, 2 weeks left of the regular season into the playoffs. I know your phone is now ringing off the hook with all these coaches saying, what do I get for this win? What about this? What does this guy get? Division III. We break it down. St. John's and Shrewsbury look like locks now.
So I can't see those guys dropping off, even if the bottom falls out the rest of the year. They have so many points above. Shepherd Hills, the Dohertys, the Wachusett's of the world. They're going to probably hang on.
And then so Shepherd Hill's got 15.3 points. 15.03 points. Doherty, 13.47. Wachusett, 13.17. So to me, it looks like a two-horse race. Doherty and Wachusett. Is that how you see it?
I think Shepherd Hill can hold on. Again, the same thing with the other two teams. If they have Leominster, who's not going to get any points for a win because Leominster is winless. They get standard 12 points for a Division III win. And then you have the Groton Dunstable, who's 3-3 going into this weekend. So they might have enough points if they win out to hold on, because I think what's going to come down to is Doherty Wachusett for that last spot. And more specifically, Wachusett and Neshoba this weekend.
Right. And what's interesting about this is you have Doherty Wachusett. Wachusett won the head-to-head matchup already, but they're behind in the power rankings. They're 4-2. Doherty's 5-1. Doherty has North this weekend, and then they have North Middlesex. You mentioned Wachusett. They got Neshoba and then Westboro. Neshoba is an unbelievable team, as is Wachusett. And you're thinking right now that this is the game. If they win, they're in. If they lose, they may be out.
If they beat Neshoba, they get the 6 points for them winning, and then could be more if they win in the last week of the season. So I mean, I think that puts the points up. And they might be. I don't think Doherty has. Let's be honest. The schedule they play, to see schedule, they don't. It's a typical thing. Remember a couple of years ago, St. Peter Marion had a good record, but they were out.
Right.
Worcester Tech a couple of years ago, same thing. Great record, but they just didn't beat the right teams to get those points. And that's what this thing is becoming. It's more of a who do you play and how do the other teams do, rather than going out there and finding me 8 teams that are going to kick our butts all week and we're going to come in, a loaded, 4-4, but really tough.
Right.
Those don't exist anymore. It's all who you beat and when you beat them and how the other teams do on fields that you're not playing on.
Right. So now Division 4. So we're you and I both thinking the same thing. Doherty, Wachusett. It's going to be an exciting race.
Is that Doherty?
It's going to be. I mean, this game Friday night, Wachusett and Neshoba is going to be unbelievable.
That's one thing I feel bad with. I stink at math, which is why I became a writer, which is ironic. But I can't. It's hard for me to figure out if this happens this week and this, because you're worried about. Because not only worried about this team's head-to-head, but you're worried about 4 other games on their schedule they have to pick up points for. Because you get 2 points if you beat a team, you get 2 or 3 points every time those teams win. So your points are going up, even though so who knows, like winning at Tingsboro, might end up giving you those points to hold off, because you're talking. You look at, we're just talking about decimal points.
Right. That's exactly what we're talking about. Tenths of a point, hundredths of a point in some cases. Now Division 4, Neshoba looks like a lock that they're in. Marlboro too. To me, it looks like Neshoba, Marlboro definite. This is a good race because Grafton's 12.47.
4 teams.
Groton Dunstable 11.33, but then Westboro 8.83, Fitchburg 8.47. Those 4 teams are battling for 2 positions.
Exactly, and that's one thing I love about this power ranking thing, because you're in regardless. I mean, you're in the fight to the end of the year. Everyone in the playoffs, at least the teams that are. I mean, that's what's going to come down to. So there's 4 teams for 2 spots. And so you just win out and do your thing, and don't worry about where let the math fall where it lands.
Right. And you look at Groton Dunstable, and right now they're the 4th team. If the season ended today, it would be Neshoba, Marlboro, Grafton, and Groton Dunstable would be that 4th team from Division 4. They beat Westboro. That's the key win on their schedule. Head-to-head, they beat Westboro. Westboro is points behind them right now. But Westboro beat Fitchburg. That's a huge win for the Rangers in this, because they're only percentage points ahead of Fitchburg. Westboro's schedule, though, going out,
tough.
Shrewsbury and Wachusett. So that is
monster.
A murderous schedule.
I mean, Groton Dunstable
to be
has
playing
Fitchburg and Shepherd Hill, and that's dangerous to begin with, but that's not the monster in your closet like Westboro has.
I mean, Shepherd Hill is a huge one, but Fitchburg is not the caliber of a Shrewsbury Wachusett this year. So you would think Groton Dunstable has the more favorable schedule.
But you never know. I mean, if they lay an egg the last 2 games, and Westboro gets one, they beat, they stunned Shrewsbury. It's again one of the lights. That's a big home game for them this weekend. The neighbors don't really like the lights too much. That light from the soda machine.
It got voted in, so the neighbors are going to have to.
The right people must have moved away.
They moved away the first time months after the vote. The 2 neighbors that rang the bell and went and emptied out the nursing homes and brought everyone there. They were gone within a month of that vote.
Exactly. Not in my backyard.
Nope. All right, but look at the one thing I love about this too. So Groton Dunstable, they need to win their final 2. This week it's Fitchburg.
Yep.
Fitchburg needs to win their final 2. If they beat Groton Dunstable this weekend, this Friday,
they're in the mix.
That throws Westboro right in the mix, even if Westboro falls to Shrewsbury and Wachusett, because Westboro beat Fitchburg.
Right.
Now there's another loss for Groton Dunstable, so this thing gets kind of turned on its ear again, put in the mixing bowl again for these 3 teams. It's exciting. Division 5, Nipmuc right now, runaway. They're in. Having a phenomenal year. Now this one's another one tight. Northbridge 12.33, Auburn 11.67. Auburn beat Northbridge last weekend in overtime head-to-head.
And that got them back in the mix
for the Rockets. They're percentage points behind. Oakmont's at 11 even, and then North
at
9.7, or you got 9.2.
No, 9.97.
9.7. North lost to Holy Name by 1 point last weekend. Boy, you look at.
They needed that.
Yeah, you look at certain, one play here or there, and that's what the coaches and kids.
That's what it comes down
to.
That's what you're looking at.
You beat North. I mean, North. If they beat Holy Name, they right now would be in, not on the outside looking in. But right now they're on the outside looking in. Oakmont has Tingsboro and Quabbin left.
Winnable games for them.
Has Doherty and BMR. Doherty a huge. That's it. And you're going in as a big underdog. And then BMR is a good team, too.
And Doherty has a history this year of beating up on city teams and putting their starters on the bench in the first, second quarter.
Yeah.
So, I know North has a lot to play for, a lot of pride. Sean, I mean, they're okay. They like to be friends with the inner high teams, and not that.
Right.
They're not
They want to win
Christmas
the inner
presents.
high title. Make no mistake about it. Doherty is in it to win the inner high title, and they talk about that from the beginning. They want to win the inner high title. Then they want to win, which Thanksgiving is an inner high game, win that Thanksgiving Day game, because a lot of times that means clinching the inner high title, and then do the playoffs and get into the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. But the inner high title is the first check mark on their list. And so for Doherty, they're going to come in ready to go on Friday night against North at Foley Stadium. So it's going to be a tough battle.
That's what makes that
it's
holy
a tough
name
uphill
loss.
climb.
That makes that holy name loss, because even if they lose to Doherty, they still pick up like 7 points from that loss, which is a pretty good. It's like being a bad divisional opponent.
Right.
But at the same time, they having those extra points. That's where, like we said earlier, we're counting decimal points here.
Right. Now, again, what does it mean? Does anything change? North's Division 5, Doherty's Division 3. Are there any modifiers?
Yeah, North would get
the
12-point modifier, or 13-point modifier or so because they're playing up.
Okay, so they will get rewarded for playing.
They are
up
rewarded.
Too.
Well, not if they lose.
If they lose it, they don't get rewarded for playing.
I don't believe so.
See, okay, so you and I both have heard coaches say there's no incentive for us to play up. And there's coaches that'll say, listen, look at my division, look at our schedule. We're playing up for 3 or 4 of our games. No one else in my division is playing up for those games.
Right.
I don't get anything for playing up, so why should I even schedule those games?
It's only a matter of time for some coach looks at that and loses in the playoffs like 2 years in a row and says, okay, I'm not going to play that. I'll play lollipops all week.
Right.
And then, now you get bad games, but they're going in.
Right.
And I've always said, cause hockey is the same way, basketball is the same way. I'd love to see, show me a team that's 12-8, but played a tough schedule.
Right.
Those are the teams you always see playing a WPI in basketball season. You rarely see the 18-2 team because they get bounced into play, especially now the Eastern Masters is involved in basketball.
Right. Right.
So we'll talk about that in basketball.
Right. And it also used to be when you were talking about playing the complete season through Thanksgiving, and you think of those old Holy Name teams, and Mike Pucko was coaching, perfect examples of this, where they would start slowly, build momentum. He would take some young players every year, bring them into the fold. They were young at the beginning of the season. By the end of the season, they were playing like veterans, playing like juniors and seniors, and helping them in the playoffs. And his teams, how many Super Bowls did they win? How many did they play in? And some of those teams starting slow, or a heartbreaking loss to St. John's. That was the way it used to be, and you can't do it. Like you said, you can't play for that long term. Okay, we're going to play a tough schedule, but if we win our final 3 games, including Thanksgiving, we'll be in the playoffs. It just doesn't work that way.
It's always fun with those, especially those holy names that Puck had. You look at those teams like week 1 and 2, and then you come back. If you want to jump into DeLorean, it went by about 2 months from now. You think, how come your left tackle's playing tight end?
Right.
And he'd be like, this happened. Get the trash bag full of numbers and everything like that, because they were just total. And that goes for every team.
Right.
I mean, Shepherd Hill's not the same team they were when they started. They were a couple of running back injuries. They're adjusting, and they're same thing.
They have a tight end playing guard right now who's playing great. Was the tight end at the beginning of the year? You're right. And teams kind of find their own footing. Division 6, Littleton's definitely in. Littleton's running the table. St. Peter's, to me, looks like they're definitely in. St. Peter's and Maynard definitely in.
They're a couple of decimal points. I think they're going to. I think they're going to get even if they just the bottom.
And this is a good battle here, though. Right now, BMR holds the final playoff spot at 12.87 in the power rankings, but Uxbridge is 12.47. Millbury's 10.83. Millbury beat Uxbridge. So a big head-to-head win for Millbury, but now you look at the games remaining. BMR has St. Bernard's and North. Uxbridge has Prouty and Southbridge. And Millbury has Bartlett and Auburn. They have the toughest schedule. Toughest schedule remaining for Millbury. But it's a risk-reward. If they win those games or win one of those games, both teams are having good seasons, they would get more points.
Right. And Millbury beating Uxbridge, they get those. If Uxbridge wins, they get 2 points from their win. So it's almost like they get rewarded for them doing well.
So that one's going to be interesting. That's interesting to see how they go down the stretch, especially, again, like you said, with the point system, okay, even if you lose, you're playing better competition, so you're going to get rewarded in some way just for playing that. Division 7, we got BVT, Archie's boys, 18.83. They're runaway. They're in. Leicester and Oxford, to me, seem to both be in.
I think they're in, too.
Leicester and Oxford in. So now
especially
it's a
with Leicester
battle.
and Quabog and Oxford, that's,
You're right.
They'll get points from Oxford if they win that game. Even if they lose, they still get good.
Right.
Good
You're right, because of Oxford's record. So now it's Assabet West Boylston battling for the final playoff spot in Division 7.
Rossi hasn't slept in like weeks.
Assabet has the inside track at 11.60. West Boylston 11.53. 0.7 of a point behind. The two teams play on Thanksgiving Day. But it doesn't matter. By then, it's over. So,
but Ganson and West Boylston play this weekend. That's a huge game for them because if West Boylston gets that win, they get a ton of. Ganson's 4-1. They had a bye last week. They get a bunch of points for picking. That might make it be a leap through because I don't think Aspet gets many points from Abby Kelly, and I don't think Monty has a win.
Okay, so they won't get a lot of.
They won't
points
get a lot of points from winning out. So that's why it makes this game really important for for Rossi. I like must-win games for Rossi are pretty. I put.
He does well.
On that.
Yeah, he does well on those. Now they have Narragansett this week, then Murdoch. So West Boylston does. So you're saying West Boylston win this week and
win
they're
this
in.
week. I don't want to say that because God forbid you say that, and then Thursday morning Ross is calling me and saying, "Buddy, I have my playoff tickets already."
Right, exactly. But that's what it appears anyway.
That's what I would be very confident. Barring
if they win, they're in. It's one of those.
It's because I think they'll get those the 4-1 wins, and if Narragansett wins the weekend after, they play an winnable game for them. They can get 5 wins going into the playoffs off of Narragansett, and that I think that might put it because we're talking less than a point away from Aspet.
Right.
They should be a little.
So that one's going to be a huge one. Huge game. There's a lot of good games this Friday to see how it shakes out.
The nerds love
this. Shakes
this.
out again, and some of them win and you're in. All right, Division 8, we got about 45 seconds. St. Bernard's, these ones are all close.
They're all close.
Bernard's
There's
at the
5
top
teams.
of the heap. Narragansett, Bartlett, Neshoba Valley Tech, Lunenburg, and Murdoch, all in that mix. It seems to me St. Bernard's may be the only one that's a lock-in right now.
I would think so, especially if Bartlett and Gardner in the season. That's good enough competition to get that cushion they need.
Mm-hmm. But Lunenburg and Murdoch on the outside looking in, very realistically, they could
Murdoch's
jump.
having the best season in years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they could surprise a lot of people if they get a couple wins. I mean, they're hungry. So, but Lunenburg, they're consistent.
And they play West Boylston in two weeks.
Exactly.
Murdoch does. So it could be another one of those games. Murdoch coming down to that final week. We have to beat West Boylston in order to get in.
Exactly.
If we don't, and then the other teams looking at them going, our opponents aren't as good,
right?
So we could win and still get leapfrogged.
You never know. A lot of this motivation of because you play 2 extra games, but if you don't win, you're really turning in your equipment. You're playing Red Rover on Monday morning.
I love it. Red Rover.
Trying to get all fired up to play. Exactly.
We're out of time. Willie and I will be back next week, and we'll break it down more. We'll have more numbers for you as that playoff picture becomes a little bit more clearly in focus. All right, more of the Frenzy Extra coming your way right after this.